After I had a warning, we managed to knock at the doors and tell them that the heavy rain is coming to that night. Even the water was coming like this on my house. So I managed to take my child and put it on my shoulders and managed to go out from my room to freeway, where I stayed the whole night there. After that, I realized that my house, all my furniture was destroyed.
A community-based flood early warning system. It's an early warning system, so obviously early warning systems are really important in terms of giving communities an early sign that they need to prepare for flooding. But the important part of that is the community-based part. And so what we're trying to do in this work is to pull together technical and community knowledge to inform an early warning system. And so what we've seen in this project is that as we've brought that knowledge together, it's helped us to understand really key things about the early warning system. So for example, key threshold points, where we want to understand what is that point at which communities experience really severe flood impacts.
We started this very experimentally in 2016 in Quarry Road West informal settlement. We really built the first threshold actually, because we understood if there was 45 millimeters of rain in Westville, in 40 minutes, the Palmeet River would break its banks into Quarry Road. And so we started to build up the system. But in South Africa, you're only legally allowed to give a warning to evacuate through the South African Weather Service. So we learned very early on through the work of Sean O'Donoghue that we needed to wait for the SAWS warning. Once we had a SAWS warning, we could then translate that into this community-based flood early warning system. And so through co-production with communities, mapping on aerial photographs that we had, where was the risk, where were the houses, who was most affected. So we built up with all that localized knowledge and then started to look at how do we take what we know and what the capacities in that community are to link into the municipal system for the full cost early warning system. We needed to think about how we could scale up this community-based flood early warning system that we've been testing and developing. And so through the R4I project, which is part of the bigger CLARE INACCT project, we thought about choosing other settlements that have different characteristics and to think about how would we establish the same kind of early warning system. But of course, it's got to bring in all these different contextual differences. We had different forms of scientific knowledge in each place. How do we scale that up?
These settlements that we're working with are quite different because with Umzinyathi, they are mostly affected by the river flooding. It's the same thing with Ichelimnyama, but when you look at this context, it's more of the strong rainfall within the settlement. So with this community in Mondlane, they are facing an issue of moving soil. So when there's a heavier rain, the soil becomes more saturated.
In Chilinyama, we got two flood risks, one mainly from the river and then from localized storm flooding. So we had a lot of discussion about which buildings get flooded, what is the level of the warning that they require, and engaged in them and started talking to them about how they could develop a response.
We go out to the community and talk to them about the project, and then we started forming these groups. They tell us all about the indigenous knowledge, what did they do before, what are they doing now, what are they trying to do, or how are they still surviving.
The very first time we came to Polani, we brought members of Quarry Road West who'd been engaged in the early warning system to Polani to have a conversation and to say, how did you deal with the floods? What did you do in 2022? This is what we did. And they started to talk to each other. So really we were in the background. It was the communities from Quarry Road who had all this experience telling another community this is what we did.
Particularly through the INACCT Resilience project and the R4I implementation fund, the integration of local knowledge has been the central component of the work that we've been doing. A lot of it is very much based on initial relationship building, trust building, and ensuring trust between knowledge brokers, universities, and local communities, and ensuring that we're integrating all the knowledge that has been created with the community and sharing that back with the municipality.
We are also trying to raise awareness. So one of the communities in particular said to us, it's well and good that you're working with our small group in a focus group, but we need to raise awareness much more broadly in the community. And so we'll be running an awareness event which helps to spread the word a little bit more widely.
it's really critical that the early warning system works without any external intervention. And I think through the steps that have been taken through the RFI implementation project, this has been enabled. So the community has designed and will soon implement their toolkit. Each individual has a key responsibility.
We started talking to them about how can they respond to that risk. So it's not a case of them sitting back waiting for government to come and save them. It's a case of them being first responders and actually addressing that risk, having a response plan, implementing that response plan, and by doing that then protecting their own belongings as well as the lives of their loved ones.
But I think now there will be less houses to be affected by the flooding because more people in the community are aware about the soil erosion, climate change, the awareness of the climate, and also how to prevent the trails in the community to be washed away and what to do.
Mina ingisize kakhulu ekuthenini ukuthi ngifunde ezinye izinto nanokuthi sikwazi ukuthi mangathi sihlangene siyikomiti sikwazi ukuthi sifundise abanye ukuthi ngelinye ilanga khona izinto ezikanje ekufanele ukuthi zilekelele umphakathi wethu nentsha yethu ngelunye usuku ukuthi nayo mangathi ihlangabezana neyinkinga enjengalezi zeyimvula bekwazi ukuthi bayosizakala kanjani ekuyikhukhula.
Mostly I've learned I didn't know about it's the app, the municipality app that we need to report our issues. We didn't know that we should go up and down around looking for someone to help us, but you can only just report our issues.
So what's been really important in this work is that it has been a collaboration. It's been a collaboration between ICLEI Africa, the University of KwaZulu-Natal, and then the funders, so CLARE, who's been funding the INACCT and the Research for Impact project. Communities obviously playing a really critical role. The municipality, eThekwini Municipality, has played a really important role in giving us access to data, in helping us to model aspects of the early warning system and so on. And I think that's really important because it brings together the strengths of different institutions. So the research strengths of UKZN, the policy to practice strengths of ICLEI Africa, but then also the very practical sort of policy space and implementation space of the municipality.
The municipality cannot get to all the communities at once. If we have INACCT building community resilience in Quarry Road, building resilience in Chelimnyama, that is a plus for us as the municipality. As long as we are working with the communities and ensuring that their lives are saved during disasters and ensuring that they are prepared if an incident happens. We appreciate the work that the NPOs and NGOs are doing on the ground and the communities as well, because they need to take ownership of their own safety while the municipality is also planning for their safety. It's a joint thing, it's not a one-man show, so it is really important that we work together with communities in terms of issuing and them responding to the early warnings on time.
I think going forward one needs to factor that in. If one's thinking about upscaling, is how do you build off work that's already been done? How do you work within existing partnerships? And how do you really make sure that what you are doing is most effective for the people that you're working with?
And so this project is part of the CLARE Programme, and CLARE is a UK-Canada research programme, and it's dedicated to helping vulnerable communities across both Africa and the Asia Pacific to build real-world resilience to climate change. And so this project forms part of CLARE's Research for Impact Opportunities Fund, and it's really about trying to take research into a very practical space and connecting the lived experiences of people on the ground with government decision makers. And so in the case of this project, what that means is really trying to ensure that early warning systems meet the very urgent needs of people living on the ground and that communities themselves are empowered to act.